It's time for round 2 of the Alfa Romeo Milano. Let's get started. So you guys have seen this in a previous video. It is a 1988 Alfa Romeo Milano. And it does have the Verdi 3.0 V6. It is in very good shape, but if you watch that previous video, you remember that Bill, the owner, feels like he got kind of taken to the cleaners on the purchase. A lot of things were not disclosed, and once he took delivery of the car, most of the things that were advertised to be in good shape or to be working properly were not. And you also remember in that video, he did not want to just tackle the whole car all at once. He wants to do it in phases. He gives me a list of 2 or 3 items to fix, and then he says after you complete those 2 or 3, you're supposed to stop and not go any further. He then can take it, enjoy it, work out any other bugs, or figure out what else the seller didn't disclose, and then come back with another list later on and continue on, slowly getting this thing back working again. The car lives at his house, not in my shop. So I'm happy to take care of those few items and get it back to his house. And again, I'll reiterate that we don't work on older cars here, except for a few people that I trust, and he's one of them. It came back for 3 items. It had, the exhaust was all rusted out. If you remember seeing on the first video on this car, it was pretty bad. We'll take a look at it here in a minute, but it's fully replaced. It had issues with the fuel screen. It was starving for fuel, like the fuel pump was bad, but there was nothing bad with the pump, and I'll show you that also. And it had some electrical issues. So you guys already saw a tour of the car in the previous video. If you'd like to see a tour again, go back and watch that one. It takes you through the interior and look over the whole car. But right now, let's go ahead and take a look at the electrical issues that he had. So the issue he was having is while the key was on, which is going to be binging and bonging at you guys. I apologize for that. Oh good, it stopped, finally. But he would have the key on, he'd have his park lamps on with the blower motor on level 1 or level 2, and he'd be driving around, and his gauges would start doing weird things, the lights would go really dim, the radio would die, the blower motor would just quit working altogether, and it seemed like it was some massive, huge issue. It's fixed now, I was able to fix it. But if you want to watch this little video clip right here, you can see that I went through and had all this stuff apart, traced all the wiring, and found a bad ground. If I were to put a temporary ground in place for the blower motor, everything came back to life. Everything worked like it was supposed to. What it was doing is it couldn't find a good ground through the ground it's supposed to have. So what it would do is it kind of traced through places it shouldn't be going and found a ground in other places, and it was making weird haywire things going on. So I ran a new ground to the body with new wire. Whatever's wrong with the ground is all through the dash and the harness, and it's not really conducive to tear all that apart on this old of a car. It could literally damage the dash. So I ran a new ground wire, and it's solved. I can drive around all day long with all the different things going. The radio never dies. The turn signals work just fine. The park lamps work just fine. I can put it on different settings on the blower motor. It doesn't matter. That's all it wanted was a ground. So we got that part solved. So let's get this thing on the lift and take a look underneath on the other issues that he had with this car. So if you remember, this had a really rusty, nasty exhaust going all the way back. There was crumbling, there was pieces falling, literally falling apart. Now we have replaced all of the exhaust system. You can see here it has some flex joints. Here's our clamps. Here's our resonator. It's made by Amasaf, I-M-A-S-A-F, made in Italy, not in China. And here's our It's kind of thin right here. It fits and goes up over the CV shaft there. And it comes out by our muffler, which is also, I don't know how to pronounce it, Amasif, something like that. And a nice chrome tip. It looks really nice and it sounds really good. Let's go ahead and get this thing on the ground and I'll show you guys the rest of the exhaust. Here we are with our 3-liter 6C V6 engine. And you can see on the side here we have now no longer stock exhaust manifolds. We have nice headers. They're black coated. It makes it sound really nice, and it really was the only option that Bill could find. He looked for the stock replacements. They're just not out there. This option was available and he said, give it to me, that's better than nothing. You can also see on this side it has a nice exhaust manifold. Actually, they're headers. I should call them headers. It goes down there to the other exhaust we just saw. So that takes care of the rusty exhaust all the way from here, all the way back. It is completely solved now. So that takes care of the exhaust. Let's get this thing back up in the air and I'll show you what we did to fix his fuel starvation problem. The other issue he was having is that, like I mentioned, it was starving for fuel, and if you look at this picture here, that is what the strainer looks like, and it resides right here under this. There's the line that comes out from the bottom of the tank, and then you take the line off, and then there's a hex here, you can take this silver portion off, and the screen just comes out the bottom. The common thing to do on these, since they're not obtainable anymore, Bill checked all over, and on the Alfa Romeo forums, that's also known that they're unobtainable. And the common thing is that you take that out and you physically just cut the screen off and throw it away. And you reuse the fitting and everything and screw it back into the tank minus the cage or the screen, if you want to call it. And what we have done is also a common fix on these, is we've added the screen external to the tank between the pump and the tank, just like this. As you can see, it's a nice screen with a glass covering. You can see there is some debris on there as we disturb the tank inside, and that's good that it's catching it. It's really a easy to service item. So all Bill will have to do if he wants to service that is remove the wheel and go through the wheel well here, and he can easily access that screen, clean it off, put it back together, and that will take care of that issue. It may be where he'll have to clean it once or twice before it finally clears up because we've had stuff apart inside the tank. It already has a fuel filter, which is right behind me up here. That's after the pump. What this does is it filters the fuel coming into the pump, and it keeps any debris or anything getting in there and damaging inside the pump. So that's been taken care of. The exhaust is taken care of. Let's go ahead and get this thing back on the ground. This is a really cool car. He sent me pictures of it when he first got it, and I was like, wow, I don't think I've ever seen one of those before, and now I have. Each trip that he's bringing it here for a few more items to fix is getting better and better as we move along. With that fuel screen, a comment could be made that, why didn't we flush the fuel tank? I don't advise that on this old of a car because you could disturb or do something and really damage it. Where are you going to get another tank for this? It was quite an ordeal to get the exhaust system for it. And maybe that's something we might do in the future, but at least now the screen is very easily serviceable. You just wash it off and put it back on. Eventually those particles will go away and he can drive it happily. It's just that it hasn't been driven for a very long time. We don't want to run those particles through the pump. You have to put a screen or something there, so now it has one, which is very good. I have actually flushed a fuel tank on an 80s car for a customer, and it cleared away some rust that opened up pinholes, like 17 different pinholes, and it would just sit there and just drip gas, which it didn't before. In the shop I was working at before, the customer claimed, you need to buy me a new fuel tank. Well, the shop didn't ruin that, rust did. Bill's not that way. I know he wouldn't try to do that, but again, I don't want to open a can of worms by flushing out his fuel tank. That could be a very bad idea. So this thing was a garage queen. I don't think it was taken out very much. There's people that buy cars that think they'll park it in their garage and they'll start it every Thursday or every other Thursday and their car will stay in pristine condition. And that couldn't be farther from the truth. The truth is you need to get it out on the road and get it to operating temperature and get the seals rotating and fluids circulated. It's kind of like a person sitting on the couch for the next 40 years. Eventually, when they go to stand up, their legs probably won't work anymore. With this car, or any car, you can't just park it in the garage and let it sit for 20 years on a tender and start it once a month or twice a month. That's very, very bad for the car. Get it out and drive it once a week or at least a couple times a month if you can, and get everything warmed up, get everything circulated. Because when you do want to start driving it regularly after it's been sitting for such a long time, slowly things start working their way up to the surface. This is broke, now that's leaking, now that isn't working. It just keeps going and going and going. So if you see older cars in the background, they're probably mine, or Hoovy's, or Bill's, or maybe one or two other people, and that's it. Unfortunately, we just live in an economy or in a world with parts situation, everything, that it's not financially feasible for a shop to fix up older cars unless you're doing a full restoration. And there's a lot of guys on the West Coast that do that. And they're usually going to want 40, 60, 80 grand. So before this thing goes out, I definitely wanted to do a video for you guys and show it to you. I know in the previous video you guys really enjoyed seeing this old Milano. It's really a neat car. It's really cool. I like it. I like the styling and everything. I'm sure there'll be more things to pop up. Just like Bill said, he wants to drive it. Every time I fix it, he wants to drive it some more and work out the next problems. There's going to be more problems. So the question is, why does it keep coming back in the shop? It's because it's set for so long. Bill needs to work the problems out of it now. And just in case you guys say, why don't you just fix it all? Because I've been told specifically not to by the owner of this car. If you're curious what kind of tools we use to do the repairs we did on this, or really any of the cars in the shop, check my Amazon affiliates link in the description below. We get a small cut. There'll also be a link in the description below to the previous video of this car if you want to see it. And make sure to hit the subscribe button because there's many more videos to come. Thanks for watching. Let's get this thing on the lift and take a leak.